First lowlight has to be the way this debate was run. It was basically just this for 2 hours.
Loud noises!
First off, Fox Business decided there was a spot for one British moderator and they didn't pick me. Bullshit. They instead chose Stuart Varney, who immediately f***ed up the Univision woman's name.
I'm Stuart Varney of Fox Business, and I am thrilled to be sitting alongside my co-moderators, Fox News Channel Dana Perino and Ilia Calderón, Univision.
I mean, how hard is it to say Ilia Calderón? And most of the debate was a waste of time because the moderators allowed candidates to shout over each other, didn't give them time to respond when they were called out, and asked ridiculous questions that destroyed any flow or continuity.
Do your homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
It's the State Department.
Did you send them back?
Did you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the residence. You are scrapping. You are scrapping.
I'm not scrapping.
You know I fought
Here's the fact. Here's the fact, though.
I cut taxes. I loaded up our
You wanted a gas tax increase, and then you wanted
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not intend to go ahead like this. In fact, we're about to take a commercial break.
And honestly, Univision's Calderón deserves her own lowlight. First off, because this is what we do to pander to Hispanic voters, apparently, all debates must now include a round of Spanish while everyone else just sits there smiling and pretending it's okay.
Please allow me to welcome our Spanish-speaking audience. Muy buenas noches a todos. Desde la Biblioteca Presidencial Ronald Reagan, los precandidatos republicanos también buscan su voto para las primarias del partido. Bienvenidos.
And good evening.
And then she launched straight into a round of questions that were right out of the Democratic Party propaganda book. There's this question to Ron DeSantis, which is quite literally a Kamala Harris talking point.
Florida's new Black History curriculum says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
And in fairness to DeSantis, he refused to take the bait.
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars, so we need to stop playing these games.
Then there's the honestly ridiculous claim that gun violence is a uniquely American problem from a Colombian citizen.
Governor Burgum, for the first time ever, a Univision poll found that mass shootings and gun safety are one of the most important issues for Latino voters. Mental health concerns are not unique to the United States, but gun violence is.
Next, she's going to be telling us that the United States has a coke problem. And then Calderón tried to force Mike Pence to accept her premise about LGBTQ people.
The Department of Homeland Security warns that violence against LGBTQ plus people is on the rise and intensifying. According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more likely to be victims of violent hate crimes. As president, how would you protect this community from violent attacks and discrimination?
Why was she asking Mike Pence? Well, because he's the Christian one, and Democrats all know that Christians are apparently massive homophobic bigots or something. I would love it if other groups that are statistically way more likely to be attacked were ever spoken about this way, like Jews maybe. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think there's enough votes up for grabs. Now, I do think it's fine that other moderators are asked to host debates, but not when they hijack the event to push Democratic Party propaganda. You think MSNBC is falling over themselves to invite Mark Levin or Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson to moderate one of their debates? No, because the DNC isn't dumb. But the reason Ilia Calderón was included was because it's quite clear that the Republican Party is all in on identity politics, even though we're supposed to think it's dumb and pointless and racist, which it is. And that's the next lowlight of the evening.
There's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. If you look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she was the best, highest qualified person we have.
The United States is not a racist country. It's actually the least racist country in the world if you look past the propaganda. But obviously talking about race keeps racism alive. Why are we talking about people as white Americans, black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans? Why aren't we just talking about Americans? If Republicans keep talking as if issues that matter to everyone matter more to people because of their skin color, they're doing the left's work for them and keeping racism alive. Next lowlight, most debates end with a closing statement or something from each candidate, and instead Fox Business went with this train wreck of a Survivor ripoff.
It's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be? I'm absolutely serious.
With all due respect, I mean, we're here, like, you know, we're happy to debate, but I think that that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to participate.
Let's do some questions. Let's talk about the future of the country.
What was that? Again, good on DeSantis for leading the charge against the bullshit, but this kind of question is beneath Dana Perino, I'm sure she'd agree, beneath the candidates on stage, and most importantly, far beneath what Republican voters deserve from an event like this. And the last lowlight of the evening for me was the total cringe of it all. You had Chris Christie leaning into the camera with his pre-rehearsed attack on Donald Trump being Donald Duck because he likes to duck.
And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
I know a few other things Donald Trump likes to do that rhyme with duck that might give you a catchier nickname, let alone the question, if Trump is Donald Duck, what does that make Chris Christie? Then there's Mike Pence, who not only looked like shit, but decided that the debate was a perfect place to try out his comedy routine, and it went exactly as you'd expect.
Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line, he belongs on the unemployment line. I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And full disclosure.
Here's the thing, Mike Pence is a serious guy, and that's fine. His whole brand is a serious Christian whose faith is real, unlike most politicians. So I don't know why he tried to be something he's not, especially if it meant getting the entire country to picture him naked in bed.